Converse, and she's from Sacramento. It's like just visually stunning, incredible work. And Zane knows her. He's known her for a long time. So we're talking to her. She has an agent, so we have to go through the agent. You know.
Actually, no. I sorted the records wrong, but not for the worse. Actually, out of 62 messages, we don't have 50 that click. It's 59 out of 62 clicked.
That's crazy. 59 out of 62.
Yep.
Well, that's after they had to first get to that page.
You have to first get to it.
Right. Okay. Well, so that's good.
Check with Ian. I don't know the numbers on like how many people like from the start of the funnel.
Yeah. I can kind of guesstimate because he said about 50 or 60 go out per day. Well, maybe the button should say get Sircles app or something, so you're not surprised when you get there. Instead, because next seems real easy, but it's like, no, it's not easy all of a sudden.
To be honest, it's better than TikTok. TikTok just opens the app store. Like, they interact with the page, but the second you do anything, even scroll, you end up on the app store.
Yeah, I know. Well, and also they know you want to see a particular piece of content.
Yeah.
So
found out a workaround though. You just like click desktop view, which gets rid of it, but that really doesn't apply to us. We want them in the mobile view.
Right. And it doesn't do us any good to have. I mean, only it could do us good to get a favorite, but like we want the downloads.
Like people are clicking, getting there, but not on the app store. Or they get to the app store.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna see if I can improve it there because the conversion rate I think will go up when we have a really good video that's informative. So, and then what was it? I had another question about some stats too, right?
What's up? I think, look, I'm just getting to your message from last night. Crazy stuff going on last night. I could talk about that later, but let's see. You just said, do you know how many people who got invited made it to the app store? You said click the link.
Oh, my screenshot didn't come through.
Yeah. I'm assuming you meant core. Click the link. But
well, I do want to know that, so that's good. But in the daily report, it's a similar question. So in the daily report, you'll have yesterday, like yesterday's report, which would have been the day before. I think there was 43 people who downloaded, but no, there was like 80. There were 80 invites.
Shoot, I mean, yesterday I see 123.
Okay, 123. Yeah, that's great. 123 invites. I want to know how many of those people got to the app store and didn't convert. Do you know that number? How many clicked the invite link? Out of the 123.
The that's a good question. Okay, so I have a table that I'm tracking the page views for an invite. It depends if these invites are what's the word for it? If they're campaign links versus direct links, like we have, which a lot of them sent in the past few days are actually direct invites. So, let's see, invite request. And we'll just look since like the 20th. See what page 320. Invite request. Okay.
While you're looking at that, let's start
Mhm.
our process here. And Ismail, maybe you can get us started with your update, please.
Okay. So yeah, yesterday I was working on let me see here. Mm, here it is. Um so yeah, I continued working on the dog or not the dog, the fetching the contacts. So there's a problem where if you don't allow access, it just skips to well, there's two problems. First of all, if your contact or if the API that gets the list is 0, it should just skip it right away. It wasn't skipping it. It would sometimes take you to it for a little bit and then it'll skip. So I fixed that. But then there's another problem where with the new approach I have, if you don't give permissions, it skips the dog animation altogether, which it should still show the dog animation. And then I think it might be skipping fetching the API to get the list. So I'm just going over that logic. It's just because it got a little complex with the text switching and the
Yeah.
timing and the 40-second kill and the 8-second switch and the 3-second minimum dog showing. So
Mhm.
a lot of stuff going on there. So I'm just kind of going over real quick and doing some tests to make sure that that's working properly. It was working properly if you give permissions, but it looks like if you didn't give permissions, it wasn't behaving the way I would expected.
How would it end up skipping the dog animation?
If you don't give permissions.
But it wasn't doing that
Content.
before. Was that after Amin did his work
No, that was after my work.
with the
With all the new logic I added, with the
line?
text change and the kill
Yeah,
and all that.
I see.
And so it looks like it's not handling the without permissions properly. So I'm just looking at a fix for that. And I'm testing going over a fix.
Okay, well, and you know, it gets extra difficult because of iOS 18 and the different type of flow for
Yeah, well, I need to handle this first. That's gonna be part of Emin's PR for the iOS 18. He
okay.
has that up. He just mentioned this to me while he was testing his flow.
Okay.
So I want to get it in,
Yeah, yeah, for
and
sure.
then he'll go off of it. Well, he already kind of is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there's that. I worked on the inside-outside circle sharing yesterday as well.
Okay, great.
So I just added those two, and I sent you a video of that. So if you send inside circles, it'll just create a card basically, and you can share that with anyone.
Perfect.
Outside, I left it as is for now.
Yeah.
Um, so if we want to do more fancy logic with it, we can. But for now, I just kept it as is. I also added that red dot for the piggy bank. It's not complete yet, 100%, but it's almost there.
Okay.
So I'll just need to test that logic again more.
Okay.
And that's if you level up, you'll see like a red dot next to the piggy bank.
Okay, great.
And I talked to Chantel about replying to a message. We went over the designs and we kind of made some decisions on how we won't expect it to behave and best approaches to go with it. So yeah, that was my day yesterday.
Reply, like, okay, a reply in thread kind of thing.
Yeah, replying to a message.
Okay. Okay, cool. Good, good. All right. Thanks. Yeah, that reminds me. So Jerry, we left off not really finished with any kind of solution on if you wanted to share a profile outside of Circles. Currently, check it out in the app. Tell me what you think about what it currently does. So if you go to the three dots on someone's profile and then hit share profile.
Wait, I go in here. I go. Wait, so I need to. There's a new build up.
No, just in production.
Oh, in production. Okay, so if I go to a person's profile, target profile,
Yeah, or QA. But yeah, target user
got-
profile,
and then there's
share profile.
share profile. Okay, this is what we talked about yesterday for a couple of real quick.
Yeah,
URL, but when you go and open up iMessage, I think it just actually goes to circles.com.
I
Doesn't even,
know. So it's already like pretty weak. Like
absolutely.
maybe we can. What I'd like to do something.
The immediate thing,
Mm,
make it a campaign link.
yeah.
We can easily grab our campaign link.
Okay.
Um,
And it'll take you to the app store, but it won't necessarily take. Would it take you to the user profile?
no, it wouldn't take you to the profile.
Okay, and maybe it doesn't need
Oh,
to.
wait, I have an idea. What if it's oh, but wait, if you're sharing somebody else's profile, I was gonna say if we send it as an invite, but this is not your profile, it's somebody else's profile.
Yeah, yeah. Um, can the invite link? Well, I think ideally it would create a conversation between you and the person you invited with that shared person profile in the chat, because like technically you're sharing that person's profile, which is going to be through chat anyway. And so, and you got to come to the message lobby as a new user anyway. So it would make sense that would be in the lobby there. Um, but it would be cool if it did have like some type of temporary landing page. We were talking about that, Jerry. But that's where it gets starting a little more complicated.
Yeah, like I said, there's there's a bunch of ways you could approach it. Like right now, let's say we have our profile screen for business profiles where it looks like it does in the app, and it's really just we have that button at the bottom that has continue.
Yeah.
But for a user profile, there's a lot of things that we could do with it. We could keep it barely interactive, like we do the business profile, and where basically clicking anything goes to the app store.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have you
Could
can
we use that landing page that we use for the businesses and so it would have the user's profile inside of the phone frame and then a next button?
yeah, I could recreate it based off that.
Interesting.
I could do that. I'm just saying like it just won't be so interactive. It would just be like a landing page.
Yeah, which might be fine. What do
I
you
mean,
think, Ismail? Yeah.
that might work out if, yeah, you have like the landing page where if you have Circles installed, you can click on the link and it'll direct you to that person's profile. And if you don't have it installed, it'll direct you to the App Store.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's open up that can of worms. If they have the app, we need a universal link. We need a dynamic link to support it.
Okay. And we were doing dynamic links for upcoming, but is this one out?
The template. Remember how I'm like
Yep.
I
Yeah.
said, and we create a new format of page. We'll need to do that here for the user profile.
Okay. Have we already done it for place and entertainment profiles?
We only did it for place profiles at this time.
We should do, while we're at it, let's do entertainment and let's do user profiles. Was it Ismail or Amin working on it?
I mean,
Okay. I don't think Amin is Amin here.
well, I'll need to make a URL format that works with this too, because like we don't have a landing page for entertainment profiles.
Okay. Will you send Amin a message to get him started on it, Jerry?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and then a campaign link probably would be this quickest solution. Does that need any kind of front end work?
For what? Entertainment profile?
No, just for the person's profile at this point.
Ooh. Once I have the link ready, the front end will have to update to send that link. And then we also need the universal link for whatever URL I set up.
Okay. Will you send it to Ismail when you're ready? Because Ismail's working on that right now.
Okay, well, I need to. Okay, it's going to take time. Let me work with Amin on getting the universal links.
Yeah.
So,
The campaign link is pretty quick though, right?
well, again, we're going kind of back on. We're saying we're not following best practices. It was like,
Yeah.
right,
If we want to do it right, we want the dynamic link.
right. So
Yeah.
if we're going to do it, we're doing it right, and we're going to do it with the dynamic link.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, let's do it right. We're already this far.
Yeah.
And it's fresh. So
When I have that landing page ready, I need to give the URL scheme I can give it to Ismail, and he can just have it redirect. Like, he could work on sending the SMS with the corrected link, and Amin can work on having the dynamic link open the app. It can be done in parallel.
okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe we use the landing page we have right now. With the different header.
Okay.
Would it insert dynamically insert the person's profile into that kind of phone frame?
Let me remember the logic. So, oh, this is one problem that we have with that page versus the core flow is the phone number. Well, ooh. Yeah, the phone number that it gets into, because like all of our core links have the phone number encoded in that URL, which the front end could encode that phone number, but it would only allow them to send it to one person rather than like a group chat. Because other than that, then we're like trying to reverse piece the IP address that it was clicked on, and still that's not always guaranteed unless we have the possibility that I have stashed away. That's the direct option of entering a phone number when they hit next.
That's true. Yep.
Which I haven't turned that on yet. But whenever we visit one of these landing pages and
Yeah.
the phone number isn't in the URL, we can ask for a phone. We can show a modal saying, well, I need your phone number first to make sure you can end up here after.
Yeah, I think we should do that. That'd be great. And that way we can track when they download and deep link them to the chat with the shared, or at least have it in their lobby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's put it on the board.
Well, you said at least have it in their lobby.
Yeah, the profile that was shared originally, the person's profile. So it'd be not in their, well, the message would be in their lobby, and then inside the conversation would be the shared profile as a topic.
Building a chat message off of
Yes.
that expands it a little more. Probably a lot, but
Okay. I don't know how valuable this is at the moment. I don't know how much this is actually happening. I was trying to do it this week.
Let's work on the landing page. Having a landing page is going to be a lot effective now. These, extra effects of creating topics and all. We could work on this in pieces. Right now, almost anything we do is better than what it is right now.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Okay. Amit should be here in a minute. I'm not sure where Amin is.
He said he was dealing with an emergency. He said he may be very late if not showing up.
That was Amin?
I know that was a bit.
Oh,
Yeah. He said he's going to be late.
Right. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Danny, are you here?
Yeah, what do you need?
Go ahead and take over. Let's go to Wells, and then we'll get more updates from Jerry. And I'm gonna step away, and I'll be back in a couple minutes.
All right, go ahead, Wells.
Hey, was looking for the meeting right now. Yeah, so yesterday I opened another PR for something related to analytics. Let me see here. Oh yeah, so the analytics for when you play a podcast episode, I see here it was approved by Ismail a couple minutes ago. So I'll be merging it and will be in development. And right now I am in the final steps of opening APR for adding analytics for the action of the user reporting some content. So I added a couple extra analytics for when, sorry, I added a couple extra data for the analytics we already had. So when the user presses on the card header, that are the three dots on the card, we track that. And then once he hits report, I'm sending a bunch of data that Lenny had requested. So we will have information on which profile was exactly the one that was being reported, what profile type that was, and profile key, and all that other information. And then once the report modal is open, there is event for if the user cancels that or if the user proceeds in that point. And data at that point, we have less data about what's happening. So we just have the keys. So the event that logs that has only the keys for the stuff. But if you go on the flow of the actions of the user, you see that he pressed on the report before, and you can see all the data in there. So I am preparing a PR for that right now, committing everything in, etc. And I am also talking to Ali. So I messaged him about other requests that Danny had regarding analytics. So we kind of want to have different ways of having metrics for engagement in the user. So we don't want to see only if they are using the app, or we actually want to see if they are coming back and using the app more than once, so we can have retention data and all that kind of stuff. So I prepared here a couple questions to ask Ali, and I sent him a question if he does think I can handle that, or if it's best if I tell Danny to ask him to take a look at it. And then after this, I think I don't have more tasks unless I'm missing some analytics from Danny. But I think that handles everything, right, Danny?
On the
Yeah.
analytics side, we're hiring a data analyst too. So we're going to have someone who has a lot of experience with Amplitude and analyzing the data joining us soon.
Okay.
April 7th actually is when he's going to start. 'Cause he's going on vacation. But as soon as he gets back, he's going to join us about 10 hours a week and start doing some higher level reporting. We already have some retention reports, obviously, like it's set up. I've been tweaking them and it's tracking pretty well, but there's a story within the data that we want to be more clear to us. So we hired a professional to take it to the next level.
That's great. The having that kind of help will be really useful, especially for these more complicated reports and where we have different stuff than the usual from Amplitude, like when we not use their own metrics and that kind of thing. So that seems like a nice idea.
Yeah, I'm going to connect you guys when he starts. After he gives it a once over, I want him to make sure the events are all set up correctly. And once he gets through, an initial review of things, I'll connect you in case we need to add any events, remove any events, change how we're pulling properties through, anything that comes up.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, so analytics for the new flow that was created, analytics for the podcasts. So when a user listens to a podcast within the app, and also the analytics for the report. I think sums up all the requests regarding that you made in the past couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, within 1 hour or something, I will be out of tasks. So
Okay.
if you have any requests, John, feel free to send me, and Danny as well, in case you
Cool.
want something more.
All right. Well, we'll find you something for sure.
Okay. Yep. And also, I was testing the stuff, and all the other 4 PRs that were merged the other day, all the stuff regarding search and etc. Seems to be everything running cool, fine.
Very good. Thank you, Wells. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. So I got a lot of data in Sentry. Just not bad data, but data. it really highlights where we need to be looking in regards to keeping the app responsive. And one thing that I see that, for example, I actually did this tweet this morning. What is this? Duplicate this morning. Interesting. We'll check that. I haven't received that duplicate yet, but we'll see what's going on there. Whenever there was a big query that was causing some issues. Anytime you would send a message to a group, it had to call a query that fetched all of the users in the group. And it fetches them by their player IDs as well. So to make sure we get like their preferences for alerts and all. So that query, when scaled up to 10,000 members in a group, doesn't work fast. Whenever there was a lot of load, that query could take a couple seconds, and this would happen anytime a message would be sent. And it only flares up during times of load. Other than that, most of the times it takes like 100 milliseconds. Something I did is I created a dedicated index for this query because it's required for notifications. Like, we're going to be calling this a lot. And I noticed immediate performance improvements when we're just, and if I dedicate it, like I have this query, it actually references the index to tell the database to, reference this for looking it up. Like, don't try and find a better path. This is the best path I created for it. And it works very well. So I'm seeing a lot of good improvement there. Another improvement I made yesterday was with chat permissions. So we have checks as well in the chat to make sure that you're a valid member in a group. Make sure, let me get the code, yeah. Where you're a valid member in a group before you could just, see certain things or read messages and all. And what that did is it also fetched all the group members, and then from all the group members, it decided to see is if the current user was a group member. That worked fine when a group had 10, 20 people in it. When the group has 10,000 people in it, it can sometimes run slow. So instead, I made a dedicated query that said, is user A part of group B? And now that performance has increased a lot as well. And this is a lot of stuff that's getting called in the chat because I have a lot of data from the chat. Another thing we did is the image for the search. It turns out there was something in the backend that was like overriding the image. Not like erasing the image, but it was returning the wrong image because a certain flag wasn't showing. That was just a minor fix, but that's done. I think I talked about this in stand up yesterday for the read. Yeah, it was the mark message is read. We have that improved. And the next thing that I'm going to try to be looking at, well, first of all, top priority is going to be I'm going to try and make that landing page for the user like based off of what we have for the profile page. One thing that I'm seeing a lot of time taken in our database is for favoriting, and this kind of lines up with stuff too. How our badges might be delayed like by certain intervals, how it's not always consistent. So whenever you check in and favorite to a profile, the app is using an optimistic response. But that API call actually could take like 6 or 7 seconds. And I said a lot of data from this. So I was able to go to Sentry, find out what was going on, created some example queries, run them in QA, and profile it to figure out where the slowness was. It is coming from any time that we do a check-in or we do a favorite in the app, we recalculate badges accordingly because we give them badges and we're supposed to give them badge animations. That takes a while. And what we're doing is we don't really need the badge calculation to happen for that API call. Like we don't really care what happens as long as it happens. I've been looking into something. I think I talked about this with Eric in the past, but SQL Broker, which is basically an asynchronous queue of actions that you can execute, and you can have it just like execute actions as it's fed to it asynchronously because you don't care about it. And because of how our alert systems works with like badges and stuff, this is possible to run. And I can just update the triggers that update for favorites and check-ins to feed into the broker to run badge checks for users whenever they favorite or check in. And that's going to cause a huge performance improvement, like taking the time for these procedures from 6-7 seconds to like milliseconds, because
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent. So but it'll still do all the checks and everything necessary.
right, it'll do all the checks. It's in the background. But again, I'm noticing it takes a little while to recalculate the badges when we got a lot of people in the app.
Even
But-
after the change?
Well, it happens in the background.
Mhm.
So like our API response times are going to go from like 6 seconds to like 200 milliseconds.
Well, that's good.
But when the background, now the database is processing its own queue to recalculate the badges and award them. And then we have that polling job that executes as well, that if they are awarded any badges, we'll still send it to them via the subscription. So there will be no end effect for the user, because we really don't care that much about if. So like the API, the front end doesn't check anything from the back end to see if we need to immediately give a badge after you favorite something. There's nothing in the code that does that. It all happens via the subscription. And because we use the subscription, I'm able to do this.
Okay. Okay, great.
So I have a lot of data. I'm going through it. And I mean, here's another thing. You wouldn't believe like how much this comes up. When you're sending a chat message. So we have, I mean, Ismail is very familiar with this. We have something called a sender key and a receiver key. And those are mostly only relevant in, well, the receiver key is only relevant in one-on-one groups. And anytime you update a message in the group, anytime you update anytime you create a message, sorry, you don't update a message, you create it, we have to check the database for a matching receiver key. But in a group, you don't have a receiver key because it's a group. But that query was still getting called. I skipped over that query in the event of a group. That's kind of why I sent that message in the chat earlier saying, oh, I'm just testing, don't reply.
Gotcha. So there's a different form of receiver key for a group?
No, there is no receiver. Like it's a group. I'm assuming that from the early days of the chat that it was just necessary. Like, I don't really think receiver keys necessary anymore. I
For
think,
one-on-one?
yeah, I think the front end might have some special handling on it for one-on-ones, but like receiver key is not used at all in a group. Sender key is. And even sender key, I was able to further optimize because here's the thing. When you have a system message, some system messages like joining a group or adding somebody to a group, those have just a anonymous system message not tied to any user key, but we're still doing a check for a sender key. Even though the message type was system and we're specifying from the back end, it's like an anonymous system message.
So totally unnecessary to look for a sender key. There is no sender.
Right, there is no sender. So we skip over it now.
Right. Nice. Okay. Fantastic.
Like that, like for example, when hundreds of people are joining the group, it really starts to add up.
Yeah, these things add up, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that's great.
It's stuff that, hey, you bring a lot of people into the app, I start to get a lot of data that I can now go through and figure out like, okay, this is something that goes wrong when a lot of people are in the app. Because other than that, like when there's not a lot of stuff going on in the app, in Sentry, it just looks like a one-off. Like, oh, this happens often now when there's a people in the app, and I'm able to catch it and drill into it further. And especially when the app's really going, not say slow, but when it's not as fast as we wanted, taking a few seconds versus half a second, I'm hooking up a simulator into the app, and I'm just profiling, like just navigating through the app, going in chats, doing stuff while we're having, a huge load. And I'm able to identify which queries and mutations are being slow. It's just something that we're unlocking because we're getting the levels of traffic that we're getting.
Well, that's good. It was great. Like stress tests.
Mm-hmm. And I think I might have another thing improving the speed of a contact import. And there's a very, very edge case here that it could not work. Again. So we run like a cleanup procedure whenever we're doing contact imports. And we call it every time that the contact import mutation is called. But we can import, we load contacts in batches, remember? Batches of 500. And one thing I was going to think about putting in, but I'm like, oh shoot, it's just gonna have that time where it doesn't work, is because that cleanup does take some time. And what I was thinking is whenever the backend receives a batch that is not a multiple of 500, we know to execute the cleanup because that's the last page. You kind of see where I'm going? I'm
Yeah.
still kind of mapping it out in my head.
Yeah.
The only time it won't work is when your contact book is exactly a multiple of 500.
Interesting.
And maybe we just need a whole nother just different set of queries for it. I think what we could do is maybe we make like a upload contact v2 where I take out the cleanup altogether, and then we have a separate mutation that's called from the front end after. I don't know the best way, because that would cover everything. It would just require a brand new mutation. Because I'm looking at some things and I'm still finding where it's Apollo, and I'm not sure exactly how this is perfectly resolved from the front end side. But when you call a bunch of mutations and queries at the same, like within the same maybe 100 milliseconds, the front end takes, well, it's not anything like Amin or Ismail are doing. The Apollo client takes the mutations and sends them at the same time. So maybe we need some way for contacts to like serialize that better. It's just something I see. Like, for example, that's why loading topics was slow, because it was trying to batch together the chat queries were fast. What was slow is the operation to mark that you're up to date on the chat. And it was just that one guy holding back the other two from returning.
I see. Which you solved that one.
I solved that.
Yeah.
It's
something similar for contacts.
Right. It's something we could explore more for contacts. It requires a more involved approach from the front end, because I think ideally we need the front end to serialize the upload of the contact batches.
I see. Ismail, do you have any experience with that?
Sorry, I was multitasking. I heard we were talking about contact batching.
Yeah. So how we're batching the contacts now, even though we're sending them as separate requests to Apollo is grouping those mutations into a single network call.
Oh.
So one thing that I was thinking is we could maybe serialize them, but then I have another approach. We may not have to serialize them. Is when all the contacts are uploaded, I need you to call a separate like processing or cleanup call after all of the contacts are uploaded. And we could save some
Okay.
on the contact import, actually. Because I would be like, so what I said is that when we have a cleanup function, like it clears out some of the tape, like some of the scratch, I don't know, staging data that it was doing. And that takes time. And
What?
uploading, like, what's that?
It takes what you said.
It takes time whenever
Okay.
you call this, and it runs at the end of every request for the contact import. It could take a few seconds on its own.
You're talking about on the back end side here, right?
Right. But it
Okay.
runs every request, but we don't have to run it that often. We only need to run it once per contact import. So it's like after you upload all of your batches, you can make another call following it saying, I'm done uploading contacts. And then I know just to process my cleanup job after.
You want me to call another mutation saying I'm done uploading?
Right. And that would actually make things faster.
Okay.
You would need like a V2 version of upload contacts. Like you would need upload contact V2, and then you need like upload contact V2 done.
Okay. So I'm just a little confused here. So would it be calling that with every batch though, right? If we have 3, it'll get called 3 times. That cleanup or that done.
Cleanup would only get called once.
It'll be called once.
They say I have six batches. I'm uploading 6 batches, and then after they're all 6 are done, once I call cleanup.
Okay.
And because I think it might also be interfering with the concurrency because you're uploading 3 batches at the same time in the same request. I think it could be running even slower than it could because of the concurrency of it conflicting with itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we can look into that. Never worked with that code before, so I'd have to go and see how they're doing the batching and everything. But basically, you're saying it's all getting grouped into one regardless, so the batch is kind of useless.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. And this happens, when people have huge contact books. So if I'm like testing with myself, I don't have a huge contact book.
Mm-hmm.
John has a big contact book, and sometimes it doesn't even batch it all the time. But like finding some people, like particularly people with a lot of contacts, like Zane, I was looking at his contact book, and like it was grouping his request. Because like it's not, like I said, it's not something that we're controlling. Apollo is doing what it thinks is best here.
I see. Okay, I can take a look at that after.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, got a lot of stuff, and I got just got another announcement, kind of personal, not sensitive whatsoever, but I figured I'd just make it known now. Is we were approached with the possibility of doing how remember how I said Friday everything's falling apart, the wedding reception hall canceled, and now we're like scrambling, and so the reception hall basically had an offer with us that they're like, okay, well they're selling the building. It's going to be on the market sometime in June or July. That's why they're canceling our November reception. But they made an op. They called us and they said, "Hey, we know this is not convenient for y'all, but we'll basically do everything for you half off if you book with us in May 31st." And all the photographers, the celebrant, and everybody, they're down with May 31st. So yeah, I don't know. I might be pushing my wedding up 6 months. I don't know yet.
Oh my god.
We'll have a decision this week.
Jeez.
But I mean,
Why are they maybe pushing it back 6 months?
well, no, not pushing it back. We're pushing it up.
Oh, pushing it up. Oh,
Yeah.
why?
So the reception hall they're selling the building, and they're like, we won't be able to put this on the market until June 1st once we're done like doing pictures and getting with whoever they need to get in contact with. But they're like June 1st, not June 1st, maybe June 30th is like their last day in operation. They offered May 31st to us, and they're gonna take like $5,000 off the cost of the reception.
That's pretty cool.
And like again, this place is a one-stop shop. They have the building, they have the decorations, they do
Oh, that's nice.
house. It's going from like an $11,000 package to like $5,000.
That's real nice.
So it would save a lot of money. So yeah, we'd have to kick it in fourth gear of the planning, but we're entertaining the idea, and we need to decide this week.
Okay. Keep us posted.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, so as far as the contacts, I'm kind of multitasking over here. Are you guys gonna move forward on it, or is it still just in discussions?
I'll need to make some mutations to give Ismail before he needs to do anything.
Okay. Okay, cool. What else do you have going on?
The landing page for the users, and working with Amin on getting those universal links.
Okay, great. Okay. Amin is here. Let's is there anything you want to share with him? Because we did discuss additional universal links. Do you want to fill them in?
Basically, I'm going to be sending, if you're here, I don't see you in the thing, but I'm going to be sending you a couple of URLs that we're going to have to add to our universal link config. And these will go to user profiles and entertainment profiles.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. I'll get you the URL. They'll be similar to the place profile. And so I think instead of being place, it'll say entertainment and user just to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll send you those URLs once I have it on the web, and then I'll need you to configure those for the universal links.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Any questions about that? I mean,
I don't know. It will be straightforward. Because like the setup, it's already been done. Just gonna add
Right, we already did it for the
places.
places, so we have the framework there now.
Yeah.
okay. Okay, great. All right. Well then, I mean, why don't you give us your update? Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah. Yesterday I was like finishing up the iOS 18 contacts permission. Um it's all done. Created the PR. I'm not sure if it's got reviewed yet or not, but like PR is there. That we have everything like we discussed. It's and yeah, after the after the user will be back from the settings, if he changes the permissions to full access, I'll be listening to that and we sync the contacts again. And if not, the user can just do maybe later and proceed with the onboarding. Yeah, that's all done. I'm waiting for it to be tested and see how it's gonna be. One thing that I noticed, and I'm not sure it's gonna happen in production or not. It's like when a user go back, when a user like changes the permission on his settings and go back, the app like reloads, like restarts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is just development or not.
I could test it. Do we need a back button right there?
Back button.
You
Like
said if
where?
they go back.
No, like if it like when a user press on the open phone settings button,
Uh-huh.
it will be taken to the settings app, like of oh my
Oh, okay. So, and when they return to the app, you're saying it reloads the
yeah,
app?
yeah, the
Hmm.
app reloads. I did like a research on that, and it seems like the iOS decides to reload the app because this is an important change in like privacy settings.
Mhm.
So they do that, but
Does it
I'm not.
reload and leave you in the same spot, or reload and put you back on the
It,
phone?
it leaves you in the same spot. Like when it reloads, you find yourself in the same spot you're stuck.
Interesting. Um, so it's just the splash screen is a bit of an inconvenience.
Yeah. So also I'm not really sure if this is just like just the development environment or not, because the
Mhm.
reload is not like the app got closed or killed. It just like because of the nature of the React Native apps, the app the app is still just like the JS bundle get reloaded, like the JS engine
Mm,
that that hosts the JavaScript code reloaded for some reason. So this tell me this is like React Native exclusive and not like native apps exclusive. So I'm that's why I'm suspecting maybe it's only environment development, but until we test it and see if it's the case or not. But yeah, this is just a heads up. Also, like I'm not sure if you saw my message, but like that PR, you did for some you where you added some timers to the onboarding where we upload contacts. Like there's a jump again. Like we fixed that. I don't know about like now regress. The jump that happens to the title that says your contacts are within circles. It's like it starts at the very top of the screen, then it jumps to its position.
Um, yeah, there's actually other problems with that. Uh, the dog lottery should have showed and it wasn't showing, and when you don't allow permission. So I'm actually working on a
Oh
few
yeah,
fixes with the
oh, are you talking iOS 17 or iOS 18?
uh 17, the one I'm working with.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few things I'm working on with that screen. Yeah, let me finish up. I'm gonna have another PR for it, and we can test it with your PR
Okay.
before making final decision, or the final code version, I should say. So just give me a little bit of time on that.
All right. And yeah, that's it for it. Also, I was like looking into the dot lot EPR and the heating.
mhm.
Um, like I did some trying to see where that CPU spikes coming from. I, I I did a lot. Like I tackled a lot of things. Like I stopped the looping because some Lattes has the loop. Like I toggled the looping for all of them. I still noticed the heating. Also, what I did like because now the new version has this automatic like the render engine, whether it's gonna be hardware or software. It was like automatic by default. I changed it to the hardware. There was a heating up. I changed it to the software. It was a heating up. So that doesn't matter. Um, the
And when you
thing
say
that
the engine, because like the original one was hardware, right?
software.
Software. Okay. So then
Yeah.
theoretically, if it was because they have a new engine, it should,
uh,
if you went back to the old way of software, it should be okay, but it still wasn't.
It still wasn't, and yeah, so it's not it. And also, what was the thing that I tried? Yeah, the thing that I noticed helped a little bit is like the you see how when we scroll the feed, like there is this the heart loader animation.
Mhm.
That's like a lot, and when I deleted that, I just noticed a little bit of like the hitting stopped just a little bit. It was not intense as it was before, but that doesn't solve it. Like we have an issue. So there's one thing that I'm suspecting that I'm looking at right now is just because dot lotties, they are just like a zip file. They are compressed, and when I like converted those JSON to a dot lottie, like I made the compression level to 9, which is like the highest, so it helps with the file size, so it gets smaller because it's gonna be really compressed. I'm suspecting that maybe because you can
Mm,
say it's super compressed. Even like the files are not that big; they are just like 5 kilo, like not 500. That's the biggest, I guess. But like max, they're 5 kilobytes or 400 kilobytes. So the unzipping will be fast, but I'm suspecting that maybe this process is being called again and again and again for some lotties, and the unzipping causes the CPU to spike and the heating. So
mm.
so I'm looking into this right now to see how, like, I'll need to convert back all the lattice to JSON and convert them back again to that lattice with with lower like compression level, not higher, and see how it's gonna be.
That's interesting because when I use like the third party app to convert a dot lottie or lottie to a dot lottie, I don't remember seeing a choice of how much to compress it. I thought it was just like a straight conversion, but what,
Um,
how
they
do you
just like, yeah, that's maybe they just like hiding the option. They're not giving it to you, but like I'm converting. So there is like a library by the Lottie organization
Mhm.
where like this library it gives you everything. Like they have like you can control every little option of the conversion from JSON to dot Lottie.
Huh, interesting. What is there a recommended compression for React Native apps?
This is not like a thing to and also like I don't see anything related to React Native or not. But like this conversion, it's like globally to all Latvies, and like the level, it's like go from 1 to 9. 9 super compressed,
Hmm,
1 like lower. So I'll just like try something low to see, just to confirm my theory.
yeah.
And if it is, then yeah, we can just go with that because it will increase a little bit the size of um the our all lattice. And that's why we did like this migration. So we optimize the final bundle size, but I don't think it's gonna be a lot of loss of this benefit, but we'll wait and see if it's the thing, if it's the unzipping thing that causes the heat or not.
So that it'll increase the kilobytes, the size, file size in kilobytes a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit because compressing save the I'm doing max compress,
Yeah.
so I'd like to save as possible as we can. But if it's the problem, we're not gonna do the max, maybe somewhere 30% or 40%.
So
So
even at the lowest, like the lowest, um, isn't just the format of dot lottie already much smaller? Like, let's say you did everything at one, isn't it still a much smaller file size?
yeah, it's gonna be still a much smaller size than the
Interesting.
original.
Interesting. And it's not just the bundle size that we benefit because the new engine and some of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
upgrades are better just generally,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, so I mean, maybe even just a low compression is still a massive improvement potentially.
Yeah, and and I will also like compare that. Like I will compare with the lowest compression, how what's the final bundle size, and I will see how what it's like the increase of the file size.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully that's it. I wish there was a better way to test it without having to go revert or change all of them. Um, I guess there might not be. What about in the playground app you made? Could you test it there?
That playground app is just like one latte by one, so you give it one and it takes it. So
Yeah,
if
but
it's
it wouldn't show you, it wouldn't tell you anything But
Yeah,
when
like we need something that try to use a lot of lattes at the same time. That's
does
where
it yeah, does it try to unzip more than one at a time?
no, but it's like when a latte get requested to be played,
Mhm.
and that's the only like right now. I'm not saying not the only, but like this is the beginning of like so the way how I was like gonna go to debug this to know which part of the process the lattice spikes, and the first thing that happens is like unzipping the lattice. So I'm starting with that, and I will be going all the way to the end of the process to see where the spike happens.
Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully that works. So, but before you go there, you still are finishing up something with the contacts modals, right?
No, it's done. The PR is there.
Mhm.
So once it's reviewed and merged, we can see in the next build.
Okay. So, but there was a re-render, but you're just not sure about like restarting the app.
Yeah, that's that. We need to test it to see it.
Okay. Okay. So, but currently, if a user allows the permission, but then still skips the picking any contacts, it'll show that modal to ask them to go to settings.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Okay. Um, was there anything else pending that was critical?
Yeah, there is like I have some I can work on them. There is like this subscription that calls a query to be called every time, and that subscription is like for updating the unread messages count. So there is that. We I think Jay works on
Yeah,
it now.
that's ready to go. So when you get it, I'm including the number in the subscription payload now.
Yeah. So yeah, so there is that, and there's also like the members count, like in the so remember how like in the compose message and you're trying to add a group
Mm.
to this new message, and it says like you're trying to add this number, and that number we're getting it from a field that returns all the members array, which sometimes it can be a lot and causes the query to be slow. So we're gonna change that to read that number from a field instead. And yeah, those the two things.
So
Um,
those are not done yet?
no, not done yet.
Okay, but you'll make those the high priority, right?
Yeah.
Because that'll prevent us from going to a release in production if
Mm-hmm.
until we get those. But and you have everything you need for that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Well then, let's do that. I'm gonna be doing some. I'm doing a podcast later. I've got a bunch of podcasts booked with different podcasters over the next few weeks. So I have one this afternoon. I need to prepare a little bit for it, but I'll be around. Um, I think that covers everything for now. Does anybody have any questions at the moment?
I know. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
We did that a fun afternoon. Well,
Yeah.
rest of the week, really, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, Ian, is Ian still here? No. Oh yeah, he is. Maybe Ian, hang out. I had a couple questions for you too.
No problem.
But yeah, and then Ismail, when Amin is done with those critical updates there, can you get a build for us?
Yeah, I need to put my code in there too for the contacts. But yeah, I'll have both of them in a build.
Okay. Maybe you guys do a little test with it together, end to end too, just to it is so delicate and critical though that all the everything around onboarding and contact imports is working. Um try and try and do some edge cases, try and think of everything that could happen.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Okay, cool. Alrighty then. We can go ahead and break for now, and I'll catch up with you guys later.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Great. Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone. See you
All
later.
right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Danny, what's Chantel working on right now? I had something I wanted. Design. Oh, dang it. I forgot to bring that up about the reply and thread. I kind of wanted to see those designs, but do you know what else she's working on?
I'm not sure. I'm sure I could find a bunch for her though.
Okay. Just want to make sure she's staying busy.
Yeah, I can keep her busy if you can't.
Okay. Cool. God, I still have so much from this. So let's see. The sandwich shop was claimed, Todd.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
last night.
Okay, cool. I wanted to confirm that before I just took their word on it.
Yeah,
That's cool. He's got two
nothing.
other.
Nothing else was.
Okay. He's got two other locations, sandwich shop locations. He said he was going to claim.
Okay.
Um, So yeah, I was surprised Tori's saying that because Tori's the one saying like I'm doing all the talking and and everything.
Right.
She's like, no, she like the guy was asking a lot. He's like asking more questions than anybody, and one of them was like, well, what if people want to say something negative? She's like, well, there are sites for that, but that's not Circles.
Ah, nice.
I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
She was quick on that, so I just wish we had more manpower to like manage her. But maybe I think if you worked more closely with her, Todd, I think the way you framed it with her of like, I just care how many people rewards you got and how many businesses you claim. I don't think that's enough. I think it should be the opposite. I think it should be like, how many businesses did you reach out to for rewards, and what are their objections? Like, you should probably have more
Sure.
detail.
Yeah, and I get all that, and that was what I, and I think you I had this conversation via text. I was actually sending, because I was having her do that. I was having her give me all this activity.